This is Jane Low at the Singapore FinTech Festival 2022, and this is the sixth edition in this, or rather the seventh edition of this annual festival since the inception in 2016. And with me today, I'm very pleased and very privileged to have Tommy Deng, who is the Managing Director of Beosin, a security company that specializes in Web3 security, who will be giving us highlights of some of the latest trends and developments in security in Web3. So thank you, Tommy, for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you everyone. So I'm Tommy Deng from Beosin. We are a Web3 security company focusing on the smart contract audit, stolen asset recovery, and the compliance solutions with KYT and AML. So thank you, Jane, for inviting me today.
So Tommy, yes, so you will be, giving us some highlights of some of the security trends that you see in Web3. So from January to June, and then we see that that in your report you highlighted about close to 2 billion of losses, crypto losses that we have seen so far in the first half of this year. And so you also highlighted that a lot of it happens in the DeFi domain. For our audience who are not too familiar with Web3 and DeFi, can you maybe introduce what DeFi means?
Okay, so DeFi stands for decentralized finance. For example, in the traditional financial industry, if you want to borrow money from the bank, you need to do the KYC and you need to show your previous lending record, your salary record to make sure that you have the ability to pay back. But in the DeFi protocols, you just need to make sure that you have some asset in your wallet. For example, you have Bitcoins, but you don't want to sell Bitcoin for the USDT. You just want to use Bitcoin or Ethereum as the collateral to borrow money from the DeFi protocols. So this is for the mortgage in the Web3. And also, if you don't have the collateral, you can still borrow. If somebody just trusts you, they can do the P2P lending, and it's very fast. It just finished in the seconds. Compared with the traditional P2P platform, you need to have at least a few days to do the approval and to send you the money. So that is very efficient.
So you pointed out the use case, peer-to-peer lending.
Yes.
So I think many of our audience would be sort of imagining that this one would look like, for example, you have a wallet that stores some, say, Bitcoin, and I want to borrow some Bitcoin. And if we are on the same DeFi protocol, you can lend to me. The checks that goes on before lending to me is not probably as tedious as going to the bank to borrow money.
Yes, because of the smart contract. So smart contracts help you to do all the operations without manual. So that makes sure that it is very efficient. But some hackers will utilize this smart contracts function to borrow a lot of money with very small amount of collateral, which is called flash loans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will come to that. But before we come to that, right, you also, again, introduced a new term called smart contract. Now, if I try to define this, right, and you tell me whether that's right. So smart contract is basically code that codify the terms and conditions of an agreement between yourself and me.
Yeah.
So onto the blockchain.
Yes, so smart contract is a very broad term. So Ethereum also based on smart contract, and also some NFT projects, they also use smart contracts. Yes, for some decentralized exchange, it's also based on smart contract. You lend some money in one cryptocurrency, and you can get back in another cryptocurrency.
Right, so it's self-executing.
Yes,
some
yes.
people call it.
Yes.
So again, before we go into flash loans and also some of the smart contract vulnerabilities that you just highlighted, you talk about DeFi protocols. Can you give one example of a DeFi protocol?
Yes, so DeFi protocols have a lot of different categories. So most frequently mentioned is DEX, decentralized exchange. For example, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, SushiSwap. Yeah, we all audit those protocols. And so compared with centralized exchange like Binance, OKX, decentralized exchange will help the users to swap the. That's why they all call blah blah swap, because you can use your asset to swap to another asset. So this is like a two liquidity pools. You put some Ethereum here and you put some USDT here. As long as there are demand to exchange with these two pools, the transaction, the exchange can be happen, and you just need to pay some platform coins like Uniswap coins and PancakeSwap coins.
So let's go into the security aspects a little bit more detail.
Sure.
With all this information and introduction of the terminology. So you talked about vulnerability in smart contracts as well as flash loans. So let's talk about the first one, contract vulnerabilities, right?
Yeah.
So in the DeFi space. So again, we look at the 1.9 billion number that you have observed so far in the first half of the year. And a lot of it is in the DeFi domain, and quite a high percentage, I believe, was, I think you mentioned, is it close to 50% from contract vulnerabilities?
Yes.
So can you just tell, maybe introduce our audience to what you mean by contract vulnerabilities?
Yeah, so we introduce smart contract. So once your smart contract is launched as on the blockchain, you cannot modify it. So if your design for the business logics have some loopholes, the hackers will just hack directly, or they have the way to get your private key, so can transfer all your money in the wallet to other wallet. Compared with NFT and GameFi, DeFi protocol stored most of the asset, especially cryptocurrency, because as I mentioned, DEX is for the exchange, so they are stored a lot of money in the different liquidity pools. So if hackers can get into this one, they just, for example, they open the bank store and just they take the money out. You can do nothing in the traditional way. If Binance have some hacks, they can just stop the withdrawal. Stop the operation, stop the trading. But for the DeFi protocols, they can do nothing. They can just store the block generations, but it will be a damage to their so-called decentralized flag, so they cannot do this. So if they have some attacks, they can do nothing. You just watch the hackers take the money out. It happens a lot. In August this year, a protocol called Nomad got hacked, and it lasts for a few hours.
Right.
And the project operators can do nothing. Just watch the pool that's being extracted by anyone. Not only hackers, some just the general users. They know. Some hackers tell this is the way that you can get all the money. So everybody follows the rule and go there. And also, yesterday, Gala also has attacks. So you can check its price drops a lot and go up a lot because hackers is moving up the money, and also the general users will also go there to do it. So if you follow hackers' way to do the hacking, you maybe can earn money. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Not intending to educate our audience on this, but just as a point of curiosity, where would the hackers be discussing some of these hacking techniques?
Yeah. So our Beosin security researchers are in some hackers Telegram group or Discord group.
Right, okay.
Yes, of course, they won't show their real identities, but we know that they are planning to do some attacks. But sometimes just the hacker, just the individual hacker do it by himself, and then it happens, and another hackers will notice this thing and they will discuss inside, but nobody will say it is done by me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so they just do it together to make it worse, and we will notice it, and then we will try to contact the victim. You are undergoing the attacks, and
Interesting.
You can check our Twitter. A lot of projects that say thank you to us because we help them to prevent the things going to a worse situation. Yeah, so we also have the eagle eye to utilize the artificial intelligence to track all the ongoing discussions on Twitter, because Twitter is a public one. So we check some keywords to see if there are some attacking, and then we will use our researchers will use these informations to check if this is real or a spam, and then we contact the project owners. But it's still not very efficient. Sometimes we send them message, they reply us a few hours later, and it already happened. So we want to make sure that the project, at least we all did, don't get this attacks
Right.
because we have a close connection with them. And also we encourage all the projects to have connection with us. So we don't charge you anything. Just come here and we did some discussions. So we at least you and us have some connections. If something unlucky happens, I can find you and tell you, and then I can help you to stop the loss. Yeah, so that's why our slogan is securing the Web3 security ecosystem.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I think it will be very useful for our audience to hear
Yes,
that
yes.
you are not going to charge them for advice. I think you will probably get a lot of calls after this to ask for your help to audit their smart contracts.
Yeah.
Right, so we have another topic to talk about, which is flash loans.
Yes.
Right, and so that is also the second highest area where you found that the losses happen. So tell us, what is a flash loan?
Yes, so flash loan is cyber attacks, especially focused on the DeFi protocols because it is loans. So it is not about the smart contracts design or the code security. It's only the logic has some problems. So for example, in some countries you don't need to have some collaterals. You can just borrow a lot of money. So
Okay.
it is called unsecured lending product, right? I used to work at HSBC, so I dealing with those lending products, so I know quite well. So you don't need to have some collateral. So it's unsecured. So you just borrow a lot of monies. And in the Web3, there's no KYC. So the DeFi protocols doesn't know you are the same person. So one hacker can have a lot of wallet.
right.
Yeah, so he can
see.
utilize the automation. So use the bot to borrow. So like 10,000 people just borrow in the same time and
Right.
extract all the liquidity in the
I
pools.
see. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what do they do with the loan? So they borrow the money, say they borrow 10,000 bitcoins. Well,
Yeah.
that's a lot of bitcoins.
Then just transfer to.
Oh, and that's it.
That's it.
So what
they,
about when the loan comes due, then what happens?
they just use some shit coins to do the collateral. They doesn't need that one like some Doge coins
Oh,
or
right,
some
right,
some
okay.
very cheap ones.
I
It's
see.
not USDT, just cheap ones. They don't need it. Or just some new coins that 0.1 is very cheap. So I don't know where they get, but it's very easy. You can get it with airdrops, or you attack other protocols, get some collaterals and use this collateral to borrow money.
But it sounds so simple, right? So the protocol just have to, implement a simple rule to say that, the collateral has to be in, I don't know, Ethereum or Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And it has to be 10% or 20% of your loans. It sounds simple to execute, but why
Yeah.
is the DeFi protocol, some of these that suffer flash loans, why didn't they do it?
So for some big DeFi protocols, it won't happen. So like Uniswap, I didn't hear that it has some
Okay.
these problems. But for some new protocols, one is that they didn't do the smart contract audit, and another thing is that they don't care because it is maybe a Ponzi project or a scam
I
project.
see.
So
Right.
they didn't focus a lot on the security. So maybe they just want to issue one and use some market maker to pump up the price.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so I think it is a dark forest. So some project owners also don't want to pay much attention to their own qualities.
I see.
So we can move to the next topic. It's called rug pull. So if you want to talk about this.
Right, rug pulls. Yeah. So very quickly, rug pulls. Tell
Yeah.
us what it means.
So rug pull means rug pull is a term that describes that the project owners run away. So for example, I said some project owners just want to do some pawns, so they pump up the price, and then they just run away and withdraw all the money.
They collect the money.
Yeah,
and
they
then
collect the
just
money and they run away. And some high level techniques is that they will be pretending to be the victims, saying that we are under attacks, but the hackers is funded by
Right.
them. So
Exactly,
they
yes,
use hackers
yes.
to hack themselves and say, we are
Right,
hacked.
right,
But actually, they are same people. Yeah.
And this is also something that you also track in some of these forums as well.
Yeah,
you can also
but
spot
it's really hard to distinguish whether it's a real hack or not. So before somebody find us on Telegram, say, I want to report this guy, and then at the end, I'm this guy. So our security experts, okay. So whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
this quite interesting. I'm afraid that we don't have much time, but I would really be interested to know more about this. But one last question.
Yes.
So we talk about flash loans, we talk about smart contract vulnerability hacks, we talk about rug pulls, right? So one question that many people would have is, we have all the wallets, you can track, the wallet addresses. So you can see where the money is going. And
Yes.
ultimately, if, the scamster or the hacker wants to take the money out and put it into like US dollars, the fiat economy,
Yes.
we will catch them, will we not, at that point?
Yeah,
so they have nowhere to hide.
Yeah, so we can track. So, but some hackers, I think all the hackers, they know how to use the mixer. So the most famous one is the Tornado Cash. So they will transfer the hacked money into Tornado Cash and do the mixing, and then they withdraw, and then they withdraw to some exchange, to some OTC, to swap to the fiat. So that's how it works. So our goal is to check the path in the Tornado Cash, and we will tell the victims or your fund, okay, where it goes, go to which exchange address. So and then they tell the police. The police will call the exchange operator because all the exchange have the KYC information, so to know it is associated with which person in the real life. So that's how you can recover your fund. Yeah, but if the hacker doesn't do the withdrawal process, you cannot get your fund. At least they do some online operations, do some free mint, and we can see use social engineering to guess their real identity. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the Tornado Cash, which is a mixer, it's anonymized or mix the hackers' money into this pool, so it's very difficult to actually trace where the money comes from. And I guess if the hackers is not in a rush, they can wait 6 months, and then by then it's layered so many times that it's difficult to trace it back to them, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So those hackers are very advanced ones. So that's why we use Eagle Eye to continuously trace the hacked address. So once there are a movement, we will inform the police. Yeah, but in this security incident, the victim must report to the place in the local where you live. For example, if you are in Singapore, you report to Singapore police. And also the withdrawal maybe not in Singapore, maybe in Hong Kong, in Dubai.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So we want to discuss with the regulators how to say how we can collaborate with different countries, police force to collaborate, because this will. Web3 is a cross-border, so we don't know where the hackers is.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Why Tornado Cash can be sanctioned because they found the team, because they are in some European countries, in the US. But if some really advanced hackers, you don't know where they are, so it's really hard. So that we need to make sure that different countries please work together. Yeah.
So one last question now. We are running out of time.
Yes.
So you have been looking at this security landscape in Web3 for, well, this year, 6 months, and also last year. So based on what you've seen so far, and also your colleagues' discussions with hackers in some of these forums, what are your views about what is going to happen in the next year?
Yeah. So from the amount perspective, it decreased a lot compared with last year because we entered the bear market. So the amount
the crypto winter, let's call it.
Yeah, but from the number of the incidents, it increased a lot, especially this August and this October. There's a lot of security incidents, but the amount is very small because every shitcoins dropped by 90%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
But we believe that the security industry, because we see the investment news that a lot of our competitors got new investment, and we also get a new round of investment of near $20 million this week. So in this industry, more and more VCs are looking into the industry because you accumulate a lot of money. You don't want the money be hacked, and also for the compliance perspective, they also want some RegTech regulatory technology startups to be in this industry to make sure that it won't affect the traditional financial industry. That's why in this fintech festival, there are both traditional finance and also the fintech, the blockchain company. So it's a good place that we can talk with each other how we can collaborate.
Yes, yeah. So more and more, what we call the traditional institutions are offering more and more crypto available to their customers. So I would say that I agree with you. There will be more and more collaboration and cooperation between institutions and Web3 firms like yourself. And I think the threat landscape is not going to. Sounds like it's not going to go down anytime soon. We will just see more and more, but it could be smaller and smaller amount, but just increase in frequency. So it's not the time to relax and say, oh, the crypto assets are declining in value and hackers are no longer interested. That's not true. They are still interested.
Yes.
Right, okay. So thank you very much, Tommy. It's a lot of new information for our audience, and I'm sure they will appreciate, and hopefully they will go away and think about securing their wallets very carefully from now onwards. So thank you, Tommy.
Thank you for your invitation.